Hey friends, if you're here watching the replay, thank you so much for stopping by. My name is Svava Brooks. I am a trauma recovery coach, and I love to hang out here Tuesdays and Thursdays, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time with my fellow survivor thrivers as we support one another working through healing after child abuse, neglect, or trauma. If you are here live with me today on Periscope or on YouTube, please say hello. Please let me know that you're here so I can welcome you. I welcome you to the conversation and would love to learn more about you and how I can support you. So we're going to start with just a check-in. How are you doing today? How are we feeling during these uncertain times, to say the least? So always just want to start with where we are at right here, right now. So, hey friends. Hey Rachel, how are you doing, my friend? Thank you for those flowers. Oh my goodness. Hey Lady Leo, loving those hearts. So just to let my Periscope friends know, I am interacting with my friends on YouTube. Thank you for the hearts. Thank you. And if you'd like to join the conversation, the chat on YouTube, the link to my channel is in my Periscope profile. But you're happy to be, I welcome you just to be with us right here if this suits you and this works for you. So I'm glad that you're here. Hey, Chrisanne. Hey, my friend. I'm so glad that you're here. I am so sorry to hear. She shares here, desperately trying to get my anxiety down. Oof. I hear you, Chrisanne. I hear you, my friend. I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. These are such challenging times. We are so glad that you're here with us. Can we walk you through some of the tools that have worked for you in the past? Hey, friend. Hey, Elizabeth. Hey, friend. How are you doing? Hey, Periscope friend. Where are you coming from? Hey, Chrisanne. We are here for you, my friend. It's good morning for you. All right. It's afternoon where I'm coming from right now, Portland, Oregon. Also, Elizabeth says, I am fine, also dealing with a bit of anxiety. Okay, I don't dare to pronounce that. Ryat, is that it? My apologies. But I'm glad you're here. Chris Ann, how can we support you right now, my friend? Right? The uncertainty in the world right now is definitely bringing up a lot of anxiety for so many of us. This is hard. This is so hard. And for some of us, right, this is triggering old anxiety, right? Bringing back into our nervous system maybe some feelings that we felt like we've navigated from the past, but some of that is being triggered even more now. And of course, because certainty does not sit well with us, does not sit well with the body. Exactly, right? Sam, she said, it's so much harder when you have trauma. Absolutely. I hear you. I hear you, my friend. And that's why I'm so glad that you're here, sweet lady. So I'm glad you're here, Denise. Good of you to check in. Residents cannot have families, so we are their all. I hear you. I hear you. And Rachel says, my anxiety was heightened overnight. I'm fighting off what seems to be a head cold, and I had some panic that maybe it was the virus. Yep, I hear you, my friend. I hear you. I hear you guys on all of what you're sharing. These are all very real concerns. Absolutely. Okay, thanks, Wanda. Wanda is popping up on um, Periscope telling me that her comments, she's getting an error message. Um, I hear you, Chrisanne. Hey, Sue S. All right, Leo, you got back. I think all the social on the chat here on YouTube, so I couldn't see the conversation. So can we take a moment, maybe all of us here together, since I'm feeling this feels like what's going on with everybody today. Nice. Thank you, Sue. So glad to hear that the Reiki yesterday helped you to calm your nervous system so you got some sleep. So I want to encourage anybody, that video is up for replay in our Facebook group. So feel free to go back and re-listen to it anytime you need some extra support. But if we can, my friends, right now, drop into our hearts as a community, as a collective, as a circle, all of us here together. And I want to shout out to anybody that is going to watch the replay later that didn't feel well and needed to go take some rest and go to bed. I hear you. I feel you. I see you. I understand. But if we can all, as a collective, this is how we help each other, heart to heart, human to human, body to body. Take a few deep breaths together. And can we drop into our hearts? And if you feel comfortable, to place your hand on your heart. Hey, friend, welcome. And then for Chrisanne, this is for Chrisanne. And this goes for all of you, but Chrisanne, I am sending you love, sweet lady. From my heart to yours right now. Thank you, Wanda. Wow. Yes, Lady Leo is Wanda. That's intense. So, Chrisanne, if you can, sweet friend, if you can, drop into your heart. I am with you. I am focusing on you. I am sending energy to you, my friend. Sending a little bit of love. Lots of love, actually. To remind your sweet body, you're not alone. We are with you. We are with you. We are with you. And if you feel that warmth, If you feel that warmth, and remember, right, even when we feel we're at our breaking point, right? We feel like we've given it all. We feel like we are so exhausted. Even if we can just take 1 minute to show ourselves a little bit of self-compassion, to not be hard on yourself. We are so hard on ourselves when we're tired. We are so hard on ourselves when we have given everything. We are so hard on ourselves, thinking we should be doing more, giving more, tending to more. But right now, for just this minute, just receiving love and appreciation from all of us. And especially when we have trauma, when we disconnect, it reminds us of the past where we were alone in our suffering, when we felt so alone in our suffering and that we could not get the help we needed. Right now, if just for this minute, remind yourself, do the best you can. You are not alone. This is a hard moment. This is the human condition, right? It hurts. It physically hurts us when we see others suffer. When we hear of other people suffering, it physically hurts. But when we remind ourselves, we may not be able to fix it. We may not be able to make it all go away. We may not be able to make it better. But we can sit with that person and we can learn to sit with ourselves in community like these. Just like this one. You're not alone, my friend. And as a collective, as an empaths, I know there's so many empaths in this space. This is our challenge. Because when we feel so deeply. And it's hard to turn it off sometimes. I'm feeling better today, but the last 2 days were a little rough for me. It's definitely, it's a roller coaster ride right now. Right now, I'm celebrating every good day. It's like, okay, I'm more on to the side of feeling better than not. Who knows about tomorrow? Tomorrow is tomorrow. We'll see. And then we can practice mindfulness as part of this, right? Come into the present moment, right here, right now. Stay with your breath, just to give your body a break, just to give your nervous system a break, even if it's just for a moment. Right? Because we know, because of my trauma, this is harder for me. Because of my past, my nervous system, this is like a 5-lane freeway inside of my body, instead of this is an easy path for my body to wire up to because of my past. So I need to work even harder to come into the present moment, to give myself, even if it's just a teeny tiny break, just a very small mindfulness break. Hey, Chrisanne, I hope this is helping you right now. I hope the boulder feels a little lighter. Because I know that boulder, I was feeling it a couple of days ago and I did not feel like I could get it off by myself. So I'm glad that you're here and sharing. We are standing with you, my friend. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So I hope perhaps that helped anybody else that was feeling a little anxiety coming in here. Wanda is having a hard time commenting on YouTube right now. So she commented here on Periscope. She says, Georgia is going into mandatory isolation at midnight, grocery stores and gas stations only. You must have documentation that you're going to work. Wow. That's quite something, right? Exactly. We have no idea how this is unfolding for all of us over I think, especially the next couple of weeks here in the States. I don't know where you are in the world. Elizabeth, you're in Spain. I don't know how things are going for you or in your part of the world, how people are navigating. But right now, we are all doing the best we can. We're all doing the best we can. And these are challenging times. Again, like I said, with the uncertainty, with the enormous amount of people getting sick, and of course, people are dying. People are struggling with some of the basics, some resources. So I count my blessings every day right now, and being able to connect with all of you and to stay connected with my people brings me lots of joy right now and supports me in keeping up with some routine in my life. So I think we're all trying to create some kind of routine and structure and connection. And it's definitely, yeah, it's hard. That's the reality. It's so hard. So he needs to take it seriously. Absolutely, Wanda. Absolutely. And Elizabeth is echoing you here on YouTube. She says many weeks already in isolation and many more to come. This virus is no joke. Yeah. Yes. Yes. So again, that's why I'm glad you are here, my friends. So I'm scrolling up here, wanting to make sure I didn't miss anybody's comments. So good, Elizabeth. I'm glad to hear that you felt it helped. I'm taking a lot of self-compassion breaks lately, and that's why I kind of wanted to walk us through that, because that's kind of what it looks like. Coming back into present moment, placing my hand on my heart, reminding my body I am here, I'm paying attention. Hey, friend. And navigating what my mind wants to do, what my feelings want to do, what my body thinks it needs to do to stay guarded and protected. And, a little bit of self-care. And again, sometimes it's just one breath at a time. So let's see here. Going back to the day of today, if we go back to the page of the day, we are talking about our feelings, a little bit of relating to inner child work, and also as we go through our healing journey, right? With each stage of awareness, there often is a layer of emotions, and how do we process that? So just to set up our conversation for today from the book, we're on day 93 today. Today, we are focusing on peeling an onion. Always makes you cry, doesn't it? For most people, right? Not everybody who's used to handling onions. But awareness does the same thing. When awareness appears, it peels away a layer of repressed trauma or repressed feelings from the trauma. The release of flood of emotion like shame, guilt, and sadness, anger, or rage. So the two questions today: when awareness comes, what's the emotion that you feel most often? And the second question is, how does it make you feel to realize it's that all your emotions are valid and need to be expressed? All our emotions are valid and need to be expressed. Thank you, Elizabeth. Tapping has been very helpful to her. She says, Wanda recommended it to me, so thank you. Excellent, Elizabeth. Yep, we are using all our tools lately, aren't we? All our tools. Most of those tools, right, is to support our nervous system, because as it starts to climb up, up into the stress, fight, flight, or freeze, perhaps, we start to navigate and notice, what can we do to bring it back down? How can we bring it back in to, within a place that we can regulate and navigate and handle? It's like we're building resilience. Rachel says, Svava, can you please explain a bit more about tapping and what it does and where to do it? Happy to do that, Rachel. I can also send you an email with the graphics, the images, the tapping images, and or where we tap. And especially right now, since they're asking us not to touch our faces, but basically tapping is you're tapping on the meridian points of the body. If you think about acupuncture or acupressure, there are certain energy points in the body, specifically around the face. There's one on top of your face. There's also a few on your hand. But when we tap on it while stating how we are feeling, awesome. Wanda also offers to send some information about it. While we tap, we also state how we're feeling, right? Because what's activating the energy centers in the body perhaps is some challenging feelings. This is energy. And if you help the energy to move, instead of being caught in those energy centers, you can help move it. Then it also helps to then relax the body, relax, calm the nervous system. So it's very powerful. It's very simple. But like as with any of the tools that we talk about and practice or want to use, the more we use them, the better and quicker they work. So, and like I said, I have a couple of really good handouts that I can share with you that explain the tapping points. And then they also talk about the different tapping points are related to different parts of the body. But there are a set of tapping points that are kind of used in general. Sure, happy to do it. Of course, Denise. Happy to share it. I'm so sorry, friend. I do not speak, we are speaking English here. Do not speak Spanish. So, but I'm glad that you're here. Glad that you're here. So I'm going to turn back to our page, and Sue S and Sue P and Wanda shared with us today their comments on today's page. Excuse me. These are my allergies, just to let people know. So just to repeat the questions. When we become aware of a new stage of when we learn something new about ourselves, we become aware of how trauma perhaps has impacted on the past, maybe are learning some new things about our coping mechanism, or understanding that maybe some of our thoughts and our beliefs about ourselves actually come from the past. And so when we gain new awareness of ourselves, often it's followed by an emotion. So we're talking about what's the emotion and can you support yourself by recognizing that all emotions, all feelings are valid. So Sue shared with us today, she says, it feels as if each new awareness begins for me with grief for what happened, for what was list, and for what should or could have been. Usually there are other emotions like anger that follow, but there's mostly grief and sadness at the start. She says, I often can sit with those hard feelings and express them, but there are times when I struggle to be okay with them, and I'm much too hard on myself. Learning self-compassion is very much a work in progress. So, can we relate? Who else here can relate to Sue P as she shares the first, with each new awareness, the feeling is grief and sadness, sometimes anger. Wanda's raising her hand. Anybody else? What comes up for you? I could definitely relate. For me, usually in the past, and I think this was also before I had learned to practice very active self-compassion. I would lead with self-compassion towards myself, because every time I learned something new about myself, I used to put on that filter of being so hard on myself and thinking that I was broken, I was stupid, that, I should know better, I should have figured this out. And that and I would like turn it against me. Like, here, this is another reason why you're not good enough, or this is another reason why you're never going to be fill in the blank, right? So with each stage of awareness, it also helped to facilitate, right, that deeper level of kindness and compassion for myself, because I did not need any more self-attack. I didn't need any more, self-loathing. I didn't need any more criticism, because I was criticized enough growing up. So I picked up where other people left off. And so with each layer, doing my best, okay, of course, to become that kind parent, and the protector that I had needed. And instead of being hard on myself, it's like, okay, now that I know, now that I understand myself better, now that I understand why I kept doing this thing, it didn't make any sense to me, I can do something different, right? I can do better when I know better. So to be very, very gentle, and that was not always easy. Not easy at all. But once, for me, I was able to apply a little bit of that, then I was able to separate, okay, the behavior from the person. I'm still a good person, but the behavior, or even the feeling that I was experiencing, the feeling that was coming up as a result of it, I was able to hold myself and just like, okay, of course I'm angry, of course I'm sad, of course, right? It makes a lot of sense that I would feel all that. And instead of trying to repress it, or feeling bad for feeling it, or judging myself for feeling it, or I should be fine, I should be okay with this. No. Whatever part inside of me that lived with that part, that inner child, that little girl, or my inner teenager, it's like, no, by me making it wrong for me to feel that way, I would be making her wrong for feeling that way. That's right. Denise says, my therapist says she's going to ban the word stupid and dumb. I hear you, Denise. That was me. Those were my internal words for such a long time. I felt broken and stupid. So thank you, Rachel. Rachel says, I can relate to that. Even just not feeling well physically, I seem to turn against myself. Yes, I hear you. I hear you, Rachel. You are not alone, right? And we talk about this in the mindfulness class, that the 8-week mindfulness class that a few of you have gone through with me, that, anytime we have, this is where we are, and we put a should up here, right? What is it that we create? What's between here and here? This space, right, creates an inner tension, an inner conflict, an inner comparison, an inner should, right? Again, that's why it's so important that we recognize, why am I being so hard on myself? These are just hard feelings. They're not bad feelings. There are feelings that need to be seen. There are feelings that need to be felt. There are feelings that need to be expressed. And if I'm not feeling well physically, there's nothing wrong with me. My body needs rest. My body is tired, right? There's so much going on out here that's especially right now causing us, right? All the information overload, it's exhausting. It is exhausting. Our bodies, our minds, our senses aren't, meant to handle the information overload on a good day. So on weeks that we're going through right now, no wonder our bodies are just like, oh, please, I'm tired. So thank you, Sue. Thank you for sharing. So appreciate where you're coming from, and you are doing a beautiful job, Sue P. You are learning, and I see you and hear you sitting with those hard feelings, expressing them, and to allow them to be, and to recognize that sometimes we need help. Sometimes we need another human. We need someone to see us and to sit with us, because it's just too hard sometimes. And this is where we need each other. And let's see here. Sue S says, insomnia makes me feel like I'm not worth the effort because I am exhausted all the time. Makes me sad. I hear you, Sue. I hear you. Who else can relate here, being exhausted all the time? I can relate to, I used to live in exhaustion all the time. I do not anymore. I do not anymore. So, but it took time, because that was my normal. That was my comfort zone. That was where the expectation that I had of myself and my nervous system was that, like the seventh gear, that was where I expected myself to be all the time. And I would stay there until I collapsed at night. And then the minute I would wake up in the morning, I could just feel my body revving back up to 7, pretty much disconnect, and off I would go. So I totally understand. Yes, I know. I hear you, Sue S. I hear you. She says, I still get angry at myself, trying to be more patient and kind, but it's tough. I absolutely understand. And again, this is also the training that we've been through. This is what we've hardwired our nervous system and our body to live in. So it takes time. Right? It's almost like we get addicted to the high adrenaline stress level. So anything else, right, doesn't feel good, doesn't feel right. Exactly. Thank you. Exactly, Sue. It's not your fault. Right? You've learned to be this way, and you're learning to be different. Learn to be this way, and you're learning to be different. And so, just like you mentioned earlier, you said that going through a little bit of Reiki yesterday helped your body to relax a little bit, so you had a good night's sleep. That's for you, good news. there are some things that clearly can help you relax enough to maybe get a good night's sleep. Exactly. Learning to be different, Elizabeth. Exactly. And because most of us have decades of training of working, operating in the world the way we have, it's going to take some time. There is no quick fix, right? We are retraining our body. We are retraining our nervous system. We're retraining our thoughts, retraining our habits, because so much of what it takes to be human is on autopilot. Our bodies actually would much rather, and that's a connection between our mind and our body, they would much rather we stepped out of the way and just they took care of it. But that's not what we're here for. We're actually meant to be in the driver's seat of this body. But because of trauma, most of us have left the bus or in the back seat. And who's driving often is the inner child or a hurt part of ourselves or some version of ourselves. Not often the most kind, generous, caring. And when I say that, yes, we are to the outside world, but not always towards ourselves. So I hear you, Elizabeth. I was trained to exhaust myself, to live up to the expectations on everyone else but me. Me too, right? So again, now that we know that, now that we know we were living our lives according to expectations, the outside world, now we're going inside. We're doing the inside work where the change really happens. So Wanda shared with us here, she says for her, the belief, she said, I believe shame comes up for me. So Wanda, are you on? So the emotion she says she feels most often is shame. And you are not alone in that, my friend. Maybe some Periscope friends can show with their hearts that you are not alone. Often when we become aware of new things about ourselves, what comes up is shame. And we talk a bit about shame here. What is shame about? You're getting lots of hearts. Thank you, friends. To validate Wanda, you're not alone. Shame, when we feel a lot of shame and we live out of shame, that means our belief system, we feel we are inherently bad. And when you live with the feeling of being inherently bad as a child, that equates to I am not worthy of fill in the blank. And how many of us have grown up with I am not worthy of blank? Anybody show some hearts? Can I get some? Yes, me too. Anybody else here on YouTube? Can you relate? Yes. Yes. Shame is one of those really, really hard feelings, but it is one of the sneaky ones. Yep. Yep. Makes you think that you are not just what you did was bad, but that you are bad. And that it obviously is not the truth, right? That's a lie. You are not bad. I hear you, Elizabeth. Thank you, Sue and Rachel. Right? So low self-esteem is definitely linked to shame. Definitely linked to shame. And this is, again, where I love and I preach. I'm sorry, guys. I preach self-compassion practice, because self-compassion practice, you are giving love to yourself. You are actually, right, giving yourself love and appreciation. Self developing more self-esteem, that again is an external exercise. You are comparing yourself, reaching, you are seeking validation from out here. That only lasts so long. But when you really learn to give yourself the love and the compassion and the kindness and the grace, when you learn to give that to you, then you know you are loved. How do you know? Because you know how it feels. And you're the one giving it to you, and you can trust it because you're learning to trust you. So the more we learn to love ourselves, the easier it gets to set boundaries with the outside world. I know I'm not bad. I don't treat myself poorly anymore. I'm not going to let you treat me poorly. Right? Make sense? So more compassion, more self-compassion. And the process is lots of warmth that we are giving our nervous system, especially when we have complex trauma. When we have complex trauma, it is so important that we go slow, because this body has no idea, does not have any models, any memories of what that looks like or sounds like or feels like. But we, my friends, are inherently kind and loving creatures. We are. But when we don't see that in people, you can bet that there is trauma. When we are disconnected from the truth of who we are hurting. We are struggling. But when we connect to the truth that I am loved, I am loving, I am love, of course, I'm not going to turn against my fellow humans. And of course, I'm going to be looking out not just for me, but for all of you, because I see me in all of you. Because we are connected. So thank you, sweet Wanda. Thank you for sharing. I know this is something you are working on and are doing a beautiful job, sitting with yourself, sitting with your inner child, your inner teenager, when she brings you that hurt, when she brings you that old story about why she's bad or what she's done that isn't okay. So thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for sharing. You are not alone. And then let's see here. Sue S. shared with us her comment. She says, I have been struggling with awareness lately because the emotions that flood me are shame and guilt. You're welcome. Thank you. I'm glad you're here. She goes on to say, I know deep down I had no control over the abuse I suffered as a child, nor the trauma I endured as a very young adult, but I still feel ashamed and guilty that it happened at all. What did I do to deserve such pain? So, Sue S., you did not do anything to deserve, right? It wasn't your fault. It was not your fault. So, I hear you. I feel you, right? Those are the stories that we come up with as children. We think that we did something wrong. And again, that's why it's so important that we connect with that story that maybe still lives inside of us and connect with that inner child that still thinks it's the truth. We become the parent and the protector when we can go in there and say, hey, baby girl, that wasn't your fault. You didn't do anything wrong. I'm so sorry that happened to you, right? We can sit with her and correct that story, that narrative, that perspective that maybe still, right, is running as a filter through your view of yourself and the world. She goes on to say here, she said, what did I do to deserve such pain? People just don't abuse a child for no reason, do they? I was always told God hated me, that I was Satan's child and put on this earth to be punished. I am so, so sorry, Sue. That is so, so not, whew. None of this is true, my friend. She goes on to say, when you hear that every day as a child, you believe it. And part of me still believes it to this day, no matter how hard I try to convince myself it's wrong. If I didn't deserve such bad things, why did they keep happening to me at the hands of different people? I became convinced that I attracted evil because somehow I was shameful and disgusting. Realizing that my emotions are valid makes me feel confused in a way. I'm just beginning my healing journey, and because I didn't allow myself to express all the emotions of my childhood, everything feels so new and raw. I feel so exposed and vulnerable, which terrifies me. I want so much to validate my inner child and set her free, but I know I can't do it alone. I need guidance and the help of someone who knows the steps necessary to overcome such traumas. I have begun therapy, and I'm thankful she is patient and kind, which is something I have been craving. I'm doing the work necessary to peel back all the layers of my experiences, as well as take down the walls I set up to protect me, brick by brick. Validating each of my emotions as they come over me is difficult, yet necessary, and I'm grateful for the support I have received from all the people I have chosen to surround myself with. I know I will be okay, and I'm growing in ways that are empowering and healing. I may resent my past, but I'm really looking towards the future. So, friends, can we validate Sue? You are not alone. Can you guys give me some hearts here on Periscope, or thumbs up, or hearts on over here on YouTube to let Sue know she is not alone. You are not alone. I understand. I understand. I hear you, friend. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for sharing. That is hard. That is hard. So you are doing all the right things, Sue. I am so glad that you're here. I'm so glad that you're in our group, because, my friends, everybody in this space is using the tools that you're talking about, right? Hey, friend. In the beginning, exactly. In the beginning, right? This is why it's important that we surround ourselves with people that are using those tools, because in the beginning, we don't think they're going to work for us, right? But when other people start speaking that language, talking about their inner child, separating, the part of you who you are now and your authentic self to your inner child, and the part of you, that part that thought that you were doing something wrong, right? I can so relate. I swear, as a teenager and a young woman, I was like, what's wrong with me? I must be walking around with a sticker or something, because I was repeatedly abused and violated. I didn't understand. What was I doing? It wasn't my fault. There was nothing that I was doing. Once I started to heal, I understood that. Wasn't my fault. I never deserved to be treated that way. And by surrounding myself with people that were having the same conversation, right? That perspective, those feelings, those stories that I had about myself started to change. And it takes time, Sue. But I'm telling you, we heal faster in groups. We heal faster in groups because we see each other in each other's stories. We hear each other in each other's voices, right? In each other's coping strategy, in each other's processing. We hear and see ourselves. And the more we can normalize the healing process, that's how we can let go of the shame of it. I'm not broken or stupid. I'm processing. This is what it looks to process hard trauma. It isn't fun or pretty. We have to go through the feelings. We have to learn to sit with those feelings. We learn to sit with that inner child, to sit with that inner teenager. And yes, it's important that we have, safe people to support us, because there were a lot of big feelings I could not sit with on my own. Until this day, when I feel like something big is coming up, I reach out to my friends, my coach. Okay, this is a big thing I'm processing. It's gonna take all of me, all of my energy. Can you hold the safe space for this body so I can surrender to it? Because I want it out. And each moment, each time, right, we are expanding our capacity to love. We come in, we contract, restrict, fight a little bit, we struggle with it. And then we manage, okay, I'm going to release, I'm going to open, I'm going to trust, I'm going to breathe. And then we maybe come in, and so many of us are so used to living here, right? Because you simply didn't have a choice. That's what your body does for you. But over time, okay, I'm watching these people, they're relaxing, they're opening up. I feel like I need to protect myself. I'm going to open up and relax and trust. I may need to protect myself, but I'm going to relax and open up. So I hear you, Sue, and I'm so glad that you found us, because you couldn't have asked for a better community to support you on this journey. I'm so glad that you're here. And that goes for every one of you, all of you. I'm so glad that you are here. I hear you. I see you. And yes, so sorry that you went through that. I'm so sorry, Elizabeth. I'm so sorry. But I'm glad you're here, my friends. Because together, shoulder to shoulder, heart to heart, story by story, we hold space for each other. You're welcome, Sue. She says, I can't thank you enough for the support that you've given me. I think of you fondly. Yes, I hear you, Sue. And all of us here are paying it forward. Someone did that for me. That's why I'm here. I do that for you because someone did that for me. So we are in this together, my friends. And to my Periscope friend here who was commenting, having or struggling with PTSD, lack of sleep, anxiety. I hear you, my friend. This is Stacy. I wish Periscope would have a little darker font on the names. I'm sorry. But I hear you. I hear you. It's hard. It's hard. Be gentle with yourself. Be gentle with yourself. So thank you all. Thank you all for sharing. Thank you all for sharing in this community. Each and every time you are giving voice to something maybe someone else in the community has not found a way to voice yet. So risking being vulnerable, risking, putting yourself out there. Thank you. It's also where, you create a new story that, okay, I'm going to risk writing this out. I'm going to risk being seen. Thank you. You too. Be safe. Right? And slowly and surely over time, we recognize, right? We are creating a new story, new narrative about who we are, helping this body shed that story, shed those tensions, shed those fears. Because you, my friend, already have everything that you need to heal and restore. This body you are sitting in is brilliant, is powerful. And that heart has all the love that you are looking for, has all the love you're seeking. Thanks, friend. Glad you're here. So with that, I drew a card for us tonight, like I do always. One day, she or he woke up and decided that she was worthy. So, was this something you needed to be reminded of today? You are worthy. And here's the thing about our feelings, right? Our feelings is what brings color to our lives, right? It's in here. We get to feel all the good feelings we want to feel. But for so many of us, they're buried under what we think are not so good feelings. But they come as a bag. It's a mixed bag of feelings. And the more we are willing to process and get in touch with the hard feelings, we also gain access to the good feelings. So, yep. There are no accidents. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thanks, Wanda, for moderating for me over in Periscope. So I'm so glad that you guys were all here. I'm going to be in the Journey to the Heart Facebook group tomorrow at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to do a check-in and be with each other. But I think tomorrow we're also just going to play a little bit. And tomorrow what we're going to play with are the cards. So if you join me tomorrow in the Facebook group, I will pull a card for you. So love these cards. They're so awesome. So if you're looking for some support tomorrow, please join us. And if you need more information, please send me a note. And I appreciate all the hearts here on Periscope and over on YouTube. If you can give me a thumbs up, that really supports me in reaching more people. But with that, thank you so much as always, for being here. And to people who weren't able to be with us today and are watching the replay, thank you, thank you, thank you. I hear you. I see you. And we appreciate you always. So with that, have a beautiful, safe, healthy, compassionate evening. And I'll see you next time. Elizabeth, please let me know if you'd like to join us in the Journey to the Heart group. So that is a free group that I have on Facebook. So have a sweet evening, everybody. Thanks again for being here, and thanks for being here for each other. So much appreciated. Thank you. Thanks, friends. Thanks, Wanda.